with our heads to the ground. Amazing grace. We have died for so long, with our heads under the boot. Amazing grace, save me now. Save me now from the birth becomes my enemy. From the birth.
It's been a long time coming, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we've come a long way from home. I wonder how we got along.
Amazing grace, save me now. Come to the
door. We've forgotten the beauty of the past and the stolen dreams that we can't keep. As we hold hands together, without the chains that bind us, keep us down. And as we walk and break bread together, and so thankful that we made it through another storm. Stronger than before, even stronger, stronger than before. Strong enough to break down all the doors and break down all the barriers, and walk right through, walk into the light. So full of pride, so much joy in our hearts, so much to go around, yeah. Amazing grace.
Kwase kukaleni wayekhona.
Amazing grace.
Good morning, spiritual family. Good morning. So in today's 365 Science of Mind, it says, therefore, let us say daily, I am one with the love of God. So, I am one with the love of God. I am one in the love of God with all people. I am one in the love of God with all people. That just touched my heart this morning in my reading. Daily I affirm that love governs all humanity into pathways of peace and joy. Daily I affirm that love goes before and makes the way plain and happy. And daily I affirm that my own love is renewed and rekindled by that great and vast love in which I am immersed. That love, that is God.
So it is.
That's all there is. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. So take a breath. I am light. And just say, good morning, God. Good morning. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light. Mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I've left behind. I am light, light. I am not my age, I am not my race, that my soul inside is all light, all light, all light, all light, all light. Divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light. I am light. 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 Please welcome to the stage Beyond, who's going to join me for this next song, and it's affirmations. And it's a call and response, so I just invite you to consider, at least in your heart, saying with us this lyric, or you can sing out loud if you'd like to. We're all masked here. God in me is, 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 God in me is all the all the best, all the time, all the time, nothing less, beyond nothing less, ever, ever, forever, forever, and ever, and ever. Amen. Amen. Say amen. Amen. Say amen. Amen. Say amen. Amen. God in me is God in me is God in me is God in me is all the best, all the best, all the time, all the yes, nothing less, ever, forever, and ever. Amen. Amen. Say amen. Amen. God in me is God in me is God in me is God in me is all the best, all the best, all the time, nothing less, nothing less, ever, ever, forever, forever, and ever, amen. Amen. Say amen. Say amen. 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 Say amen. Say amen. God in me is God in me is God in me all the best, all the best, all the time, nothing less, nothing less, ever, forever, and ever, amen. Amen. Say amen. Say amen. 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 Say amen. Thank you, Beyond. Thank you so much. Yeah, I like something like that every now and then, right? Please be seated. Maybe you're not like me. Maybe you don't agree. Maybe that doesn't mean we gotta be enemies. Maybe we just get brave, take a big leap of faith, call a truce so me and you can find a different way. Let's take our eyes and eyes, look and listen, look and listen. We're gonna find we're more alike than we are different. Why does kindness seem revolutionary? When did we let hate get so ordinary? Let's turn it around, flip the script, judge slow, love quick. God help us get revolutionary. We're revolutionary. I'm turning the TV down, drowning the voices out, 'cause I believe that you and me can find some common ground. See, maybe I'm not like you, but I'll walk a mile in your shoes if it means I might see the world the way you do. Let's take our time, open our eyes, look and listen. We're gonna find we're more alike than we are different. Why does kindness seem revolutionary? When did we let hate get so ordinary? Let's turn it around, flip the script, judge slow, love quick. God help us get revolutionary. We're revolutionary. revolutionary. Yeah. What does Spirit do? Spirit loves first, loves first. What does love do? But love first, love first. So what should we do? We should love first, love first. What should we do? We should love first, amen, amen. Does kindness seem revolutionary? When did we let hate get so ordinary? Let's turn it around, flip the script, judge slow, love quick. God help us get revolutionary. I'm an old revolutionary. I'm an old hippie. We want to welcome you to the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. And this is our opening song. And please welcome Beyond and Fuji. They're here with us this morning. We invite you to stand if it feels good. There is a space
in my heart where I find the truth.
Yeah,
I find me in you, a truth beyond what we may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, no. There is a space in the world with open arms right now. Let's go. Welcome to love.
welcome to peace.
Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community.
Be who you are.
Be who you are.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite.
Amen.
You are welcome here. You are welcome here.
See with new eyes, yes. Allow and unfold.
Embrace and let go. Trust in the flow.
There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger.
We can ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Hey! Welcome to love. Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out. Breathe out.
Slowly feel all that surrounds you.
That surround you.
All that you feel.
All that you are.
Let it
Go. Welcome to love. Welcome Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Yes, indeed. Please be seated. Good morning. Connect, grow, serve, and give. Living life where you belong. Connect, grow, serve, and give. Loving everyone. You belong. Yes, you do. You belong. Good morning. Please welcome Reverend Ursula Lentini.
Good morning. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome. So happy everybody's here. My name is Reverend Ursula Lentini, and I'm a member here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We are a spiritual community welcoming, educating, and engaging the seeker on their spiritual path. We're also a member of the global movement, Centers for Spiritual Living. Our mission is to provide spiritual tools and personal and global transformation. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its magnificence. And our vision is a world that works for everyone. We're grateful for your presence here this morning. Now we're going to have a call to service. I ask you to join along with me. The words will be on the screen as well as the screens up here. How I choose to think creates my personal experience. Therefore, I choose to think affirmatively. I choose to speak affirmatively. I choose to live affirmatively. Not only is this my right, it is my responsibility as a conscious being. I allow myself to be guided, used, and available for the reawakening of everyone's magnificence. The moment is now, and I say yes. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you.
Again, my name is Chris Adams. I'm a member of the creative arts team here at SLCA. I've been for quite a while now. It's my pleasure just to, good morning. So whether it is your first time or you're watching from home, again, welcome. You are welcome here. You are a member here. SLCA is where you belong. So I want to tell you about some exciting opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at our center. First of all, thank you for faithfully giving to SLCA. Your contributions have helped our center tremendously. If you want to find out how to give, several different ways. You can visit our website, slca.com/donations. You may text a gift to 404-800-9467. You may also give with a credit card using our digital program. To access this digital program, use the QR code. And although we're not passing a plate now, we're not doing the offering plate today, there will be ushers after service in the back with offering boxes to receive your cash or check contributions. So we will do our grateful giving later in the service. Next, meditation is one of the foundations of any spiritual practice. And during this time of so much transition in our nation, in so many things that are going on within us individually and collectively, it is something that's so important to our mental and physical well-being. So you may join Reverend Ursula Lentini, who just spoke before, every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. for our Twin Hearts meditation. This Wednesday, Reverend Dr. David Alexander's book study, Begin Again, will resume. I want to say begin again, we'll begin again. But there's still time to join this group if you haven't already. You can sign up using our Breeze system to get that Zoom link. And this group will meet from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, because we have people that are joining us not just from this time zone, but other time zone, other countries even. So just know that's Eastern Time Zone. And this is now the third week of this journey that is examining the gems of truth from Eddie Glaude Jr.'s recent book, Begin Again. You may have seen Eddie Glaude Jr. Through many of his appearances on CNN. So if you haven't gotten the book, or if you're just looking up the book online and you see his picture, oh, I know that face. You'll know him from CNN. This is a biography and a literary analysis of the work of James Baldwin, who is probably one of my favorite writers, a little foundational thinker in my life. But it goes into his life and his writings, which you'll find as you're reading that, and if you read some of Baldwin's work, is so crucial to us understanding how we can move forward in this time right now. Next, our adult study. This is something we've been doing for years, but it meets every morning now, Sundays, 9 a.m. on Zoom. This is a practitioner-led group. It comes together each week. It examines the daily readings of the Science of Mind magazine. So many of us, we do our work to buy our magazine and we take it home. We read. But this is a place where you can talk with other people about what are those things, those truths you're gleaming from that every week. Our Centers for Spiritual Living is currently in the middle of a capital campaign. This has been going on for a few weeks, so you may have already heard about this. But this is to raise funds to purchase Cedar Ridge Camp for a camp and retreat center. And I think this is something that's really exciting, because I remember years ago, Penelope, with our musical team, our music ministry, we did a retreat to the Mountain Retreat Center. And that is a retreat center that is owned by the Universalist Unitarian Church. Imagine that we could have our own place. They do summer camps there, they do retreats there, and they offer it and open it up to all faiths to go there to use that. That's why we went there. I think our practitioners went there as well. Well, imagine if we had our own, for our own teens and young people to go, but also for us to have retreats there too. So it's an amazing opportunity. SLCA has donated $5,000 already to this campaign, and we're asking you to consider contributing as well to invest in this future opportunity for CSLs. So please make sure you designate SLCA, Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta, as your home center with your donation. Now, I'm not wearing my shirt today. I thought about it, but I left it at home accidentally. But you'll see a lot of people that are coming up to the stage today are wearing their You Belong shirts. So those are still available here. They're available in the back after service. Once you select your shirt, you can purchase it using the link on our digital program. A couple last little things. We are actively looking for volunteers. Now that we're coming back to this live Sunday experience, we need some volunteers to help in production as well as with ushers and greeters. We're looking for those people who are interested in working with our youth again, our center maintenance and office volunteers. So if any of those opportunities speak to you, interest you, please call our center for more information. And finally, our practitioners. This is something I've taken advantage of for many years. It really is something that I think makes this center so special to me. Our practitioners are available this morning for prayer after service, both in person and in the online chat. So if you want to receive treatment by one of our online practitioners, they will provide their email so you can arrange a time, and for that in-person treatment, there will be practitioners here that will be found after service on both sides of the room and in the back. And next, we'll be joined by one more performance by our featured performer today, Beyond. Thank you so much.
Let's go, everybody. Hands up.
Oh! Or not. Hold on just a sec. Silly music. What do we need? Music schmusic.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh. People are people. got loose by the hands of hatred. Oh, look around. Tell me, what do you see? Come on. Where is the love, the love, the love, the love, the love?
Yeah.
Where is the love, the love, the love, the love, the love? Time we come together. You're my brother, my sister. Come together. We are stronger when we stand as one. There's only one way to break free. So let's come together, come together. Come on. Woo! But how many people we got loose by the hands of hatred? Ooh, just look around and tell me, what do you see? Where is the love, the love, the love, the love, the love? Where is the love, the love, the love, the love, the love? It's time we come together. You're my brother, my sister. Come together. We are stronger when we stand as one. There's only one way to break free. And so let's come together, come together. Come on. Woo! Break it down, please. Okay. Hey. Think of the world on peace and hope starts with you and me. Think of the world on peace and love starts with you and me. Hey, ooh, come together. You're my brother, my sister. Come together. It's time we come together and come together. Hey, yeah. Your brother, my sister, let's come together. We are stronger when we stand as one. There's only one way to break free. So let's come together and come together. Come together. Come together. You're my brother, my sister. Ooh, come together. Come together. And thank you, Lord. And thank you all. Woo!
Beyond. An original composition. Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's time for our affirmative prayer. We are one, so I'm going to say this in first person. Offer it for yourself. Unfold your body and cross your arms and legs. Just relax. Feel the inspiration from beyond. Take that as your own. There's one universal energy, and we are each individualized expressions of that. Our hearts are beating. And that's the evidence that we are not ego-based. There's something greater than us giving us life. And when we can step into that ownership of saying, oh, that's who I am, that's where we become unified. All our humility, our ego, our mistakes, our perceived flaws, it's just the human aspect of our divine nature. We are that divine nature. It's our mind that hooks us. So we say to our mind, oh, I'm love. You're with me. I'm not with you. So we calm our mind, our thoughts, and we say, I love you no matter what. And within that love and that embracing of our truest selves, we have freedom. Breathe in the feeling of freedom. That's our right. That's our purpose. When we are free, we create. And that's our divine expression. We create our day, our image, our purpose. Feel that vibration of creation. And when we're in creation, there's nothing but gratitude. We're inspired. The pressure is off. The juice is on. We are alive. We are safe to be. So these are the feelings that we are feeling when we're true to ourselves. Releasing this into the consciousness in full faith. And together we say, and so it is.
With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow, I know right here and now, I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. Through me. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Penelope. Thank you, Reverend Ursula. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. It's a good day to be in community, yes? It's wonderful, wonderful. So happy to see you all here. Want to say a special shout out to our folks watching online on Facebook. Are we on YouTube today? Live? We are on YouTube too as well. So YouTube, Facebook, good morning. We see you all there checking in from around the country. And speaking of, we got a card this week. I want to read it to you because it's from a member here, Eula. Anybody know Eula? Some of you? Yeah, Eula. So July 12th, she sent this in with a very wonderful check, by the way. Thank you very much. It says, SLCA family, I love you. And it says, it is with bittersweet emotions I say farewell for a while. I am relocating to California, but will continue to love and support SLCA, my spiritual home of worship since 1982. Reverend Alexander, I am glad that you also found your new home here, and I'm so appreciative of all that you bring to SLCA. Until the next visit, peace, love, and blessings, Eula. So she's watching from California, and she's told us that she's going to continue to give and support. And so we want to always bring those notes and affirmations in so that you know that, even as we gather in this room, we're connected to people right now in California and Chicago and Kansas City. We have practitioners in Kansas City and Chicago that are licensed practitioners with SLCA. So it's just so wonderful to be connected with all of that, isn't it? Yeah, amen. Amen. So today the title is Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow. That song, it just immediately makes you want to dance, doesn't it? Right? Free your mind and the rest will follow. We're looking at the context this month of being pulled by a vision. Last month we were looking at how life pushes us by pain, right? And we can be pushed by pain or we can be pulled by vision. And the truth is, in our life experience, we are both, right? That both happen, and there's spiritual lessons to learn from the things that push us by pain, and there's an evolution to our soul and to our being in which we want to learn how to be pulled by vision, right? How to step into, as I was explaining last week, to step into the third kingdom of consciousness. Right? Real quick review for everybody in the room in case you weren't here or you don't know. First kingdom is called to me. It just means life is happening to you. It means you're operating from a place of awareness or lack of awareness, as it may be, that you believe or you perceive that life is happening to you. Right? So everything that happens, they did that to me. Right? The thing that comes in the mail, that happened to me. The thing that happened in traffic, the thing that happened at work, the past relationship, the current relationship, it's all happening to you. And so we call it a victim state of consciousness because you're not empowered. You feel power. Your power is outside of you and is based on the circumstances of things and behaviors of others, right? Anybody relate? 3 of us. Good. That's good. 90% of the world is in to-me consciousness, probably 90% of the time, right? It's a very dominant consciousness in the planet, right? When we come into New Thought Centers, when we come into places of affirmative living, when we come into spiritual principles known by many different names and practices, and this being one of them, then we learn that we have control over our thoughts, our attitudes, our beliefs. We can set our mindset and shift something in our experience. Now, you may not be able to always control what happens to you, right? You can't control the traffic, right? You can't control, perhaps what happens at your business, and maybe you've learned that you can't control what comes out of other people's mouths. I know some of you are still working on that, right? But you can control your perception, your filter, how you experience that thing, right? Whether you let it make or break your day, or whether you let it just pass on by you. So that is the second kingdom of consciousness. That's by me. So you begin to realize, hey, my thoughts, my attitudes, my beliefs set the day, and so life is no longer happening to me, but it's happening by me. There's a sense of control and empowerment. Most of New Thought content, our classes, our books, what Ernest Holmes wrote, what others wrote before him, was trying to get the world to move from to me to by me, right? But there's still more to go. And we want to move to being pulled by vision, which is about living in the third kingdom, which is through me. So to me, by me, through me. Through me is that there's something else. There's a vision, there's an energy, there's a vibration field in the universe, and it wants to live through me. So there's a vision for my life. It's not so much what is the life that I want to live, but what is the life that wants to live me, right? And how can I open up to that, be receptive to that, and allow it to come through me? So there's a surrender in through me, which is probably the hardest thing to learn when you've gone from victimhood to empowerment and you believe that you're in control, right? Because think about it, the lesson am I making sense, right? The lesson in victimhood, you don't feel in control, so the lesson to get out of that is to be in control of your thoughts, minds, attitudes, and beliefs. So you're going, great, I'm doing this really well. I'm manifesting parking places and princes and princesses and palaces and all of those things, right? And then you got to go, wait, now I have to surrender? I just got this down, right? I just started working this thing. What are you talking about? I got to surrender. Yeah, I got to surrender. There's something bigger. There's something bigger. Ernest Holmes would say there's a power in the universe greater than you are, right? And he would say, he started every radio broadcast, founder of our movement and our teaching. There's a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. And part of that is the empowerment. You can use it, right, by me. But here's the thing. It can also use you. It can also use you, right? So that's what we were talking about in Pulled by a Vision this month. It's an opportunity to reawaken what is the vision. It's halfway through the year. What are the intentions that you set back in January, right? Where are you in relation to those? Are you allowing a vision to happen through you? Or are you allowing the pandemic to happen to you? Right? We've all been in probably some to us, to me consciousness through the things that we've been through. So there's a great line, a great passage from the Bible, a spiritual principle that relates to third kingdom consciousness. It says, seek first the kingdom, and all good things will be added unto you, right? Seek first the kingdom, the kingdom, we might say, or the higher vibration of a power greater than us. Seek first that higher thing, surrender to that, and all things will be added unto you. Sounds like a good idea. How many people want all things added unto you, right? Well, maybe not all things, but all the good things, right? All the beautiful things, all the prosperous and wonderful things, right? So much awaits for us when we surrender and allow. And so we're seeking to live through me. I want to break that passage down a little bit. What does it mean to seek first the kingdom and have all things added unto us? A modern way of saying that is free your mind and the rest will follow. Right? Free your mind, and the rest will follow. Which speaks to surrender, and it means if we're going to surrender, it means we got to get out of the way. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, get our ego-bloated nothingness out of the way. Most people stop the quote there, but the rest of it's really good. Emerson said, we must get our ego-bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuits. Of the divine circuits, right? Speaks to that connection again. It's not just getting my mind out of the way. It's like, so I can get plugged back in. I can get plugged back in. I was in Colorado this week, where our home office for Centers for Spiritual Living is, up in the mountains above Denver, and spent Wednesday night at Mile High Church, one of our biggest churches in our movement. And I was there, and there wasn't a lot of people in the Wednesday night service because they too were coming back. But there were a few folks, and somebody came up to me and they said, "I remember you. You spoke here," and I've spoken there 3 times over my life, and all of them were quite a while ago. And they said, "I don't remember what you said, but you talked about a toaster." And I said, "Oh yeah, that one." I said, "That was Father's Day 2007, but because I happen to remember that." So the toaster story is this. It's not in my notes, but it just occurred to me. It's about getting out of the way of those divine circuits, right? What does a toaster do? Makes toast, right? Takes bread, turns it into toast. Kind of simple, right? You take the bread, you put it in, you push the button, toast, right? Now, you unplug the toaster and you set it aside. Maybe you do as we do at our house. We have our toaster, our coffee bean grinder, our French press, our da-da-da, and underneath the Instapot. Panini thing is in the garage. But we have it all on this cart so we can unplug it all and kind of roll it out of the way so it's not all out over the counters and everything. My wife's idea. I thought our kitchen was too small, and now I love that little cart. I'm just like, oh, yes. I feel like a stewardess. I'm like, just roll it out of the way. And so we unplug it all the time. Unplug it, set it aside, leave it unplugged for a while. Can't do what it's supposed to do, right? We probably can all relate to being unplugged from source, unplugged from our power, unplugged from our vision, unplugged from what makes us come alive, right? Now, bring the cart back, plug it back in, get some bread, put it in, press the button. What does it do? It makes toast. Why? Because that's its job. That's its job. Now notice what it doesn't say. Right? The toaster doesn't, you press the button, put it back, and the toaster's not like, well, I was unplugged for a while. I have some things about that. I have some feelings about that. I don't know who unplugged me. I'd like to know what their motivation was. Why did they unplug me? I'm probably going to have to do some forgiveness work with them. Going to have to get in touch with my inner toaster. I just don't feel like toasting today. No, it does its job. Why? Because it's plugged into the divine circuits. It's plugged into its power, and it remembers what it is, right? And so it's true with us. We remember who we are when we're plugged in. That's what you're doing here today. You're getting plugged in. Amen? And plugged into those divine circuits. So Emerson says, gets our ego bloated nothingness out of the way. So this lady at Mile High remembered that from however many years ago. She doesn't remember the rest of the lesson, but she remembered the toaster, and I'm grateful. You know, every time you look at the toaster, you're going to go, there's a spiritual lesson in this. And the person you're with is going to go, you are crazy. Come to my church. You belong. Right? So how do we get out of the way? How do we get our ego bloated nothingness out of the way? Some of us think, and you probably have had an experience like this in your life, where you've sensed that there's a vision, there's something trying to emerge in your life, and you've worked and you've worked and you work and you struggle and you work and you plan and you brainstorm and you have a mastermind group and you have a prayer partner and you work on it and you work on it and you work on it and you run yourself ragged and exhausted, right? And then at some moment in your exhaustion and collapse, when you've tried everything, a miracle occurs. Something, right? The breakthrough happens, right? Now, the challenge, how many people? Yes? Online too. I want to see your comments. If you relate to that, just give a little sign of some kind, right? Now, the problem is we think that that's a formula. No, where's the bell? Come on, folks. We think that's a formula. We think we've discovered something. Oh, I'm supposed to work and work and work and run myself ragged and exhausted, and then the good will come. That's not a formula. God was able. I know. Shocking, isn't it? Stacy Ruth, yes. You can visit her blog for more information about this, I'm sure. Right? Go and go and go until you can't go anymore, and then something happens. But none of that effort of pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing contributed to that something happening until you surrendered. It was the surrender. It was the letting go. It was the opening up. It was the going, I've tried everything. I don't have any more ideas. God, you take it. Right? And she said, oh, it's about time. Right? She said, it's about time. Finally. Yes, now I can move. Right? So we want to get to the point where we're not running that formula. We're not running the rat race. We're not exhausting ourselves to try to live a vision, but rather, so what I want to say about that is all of that exhaustion, again, it's not a formula. That the sense of exhaustion in your life is a distress signal. Come on, somebody. It's a distress signal that says you're unplugged, right? Living your vision does not exhaust you. It fuels you. It fuels you. It fills you up. Doesn't mean you're not tired at the end of the day, but it fuels you up. And it fills you up in a way that nothing else can. It doesn't mean that it won't be, quote unquote, hard work, right? Doesn't mean that there's not effort to be put in, but it fuels you in a way that nothing else can. So shifting from that distress signal to living that vision, Ernest Holmes believed that our way of praying, our way of connecting, our way of meditating and affirming what's trying to happen in our life and the good that is in the universe was a way to short circuit that rat race, right? Short circuit that monotony, or what he called the I don't remember what he called it, but he said, you know, it was like the circuit of what's the word for littleness? You know what I'm talking about? Mediocrity, right? He said, you know, it's wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep. This circuit, and it's not getting anywhere, right? Maybe you can relate to that, yes? Yes. He said there's got to be a better way. And he put forward this teaching as a way to do that. One of the books he wrote is called A New Design for Living. And I just heard this great story this week from our spiritual leader. We have a individual minister in our field who's elected as the spiritual leader of the whole organization. His name is Edward Vilhune. He's in Santa Rosa, and he's part of our executive team, so we're working together. And he told me this great story of him connecting with that book. was when he was very young. He grew up in South Africa, and he was leaving Johannesburg because of his sexual identity. He was running away from his family and came to the United States, to San Francisco, where he could be liberated and free. And he found an old, dusty copy, and this is his story to tell. Maybe someday he'll tell it here, but I was just so moved by what was in it in terms of how we get out of the way and allow something greater to happen. I wanted to share just a little bit of it with you. So he found the book, and it was this, old printing of this thing, and the title was A New Design for Living. And he was like, doesn't look very new, right? But, oh well, I need something to read on this very long flight to the United States. So he took it on the flight, read the whole thing 2 or 3 times, loved it, loved everything about it. He got to the end of it, looked on the back and said, printed by the Church of Religious Science in Los Angeles. And he went, the Church of what? Ew. Right? Don't want anything to do with religion, don't want anything to do with church. That's a really weird name to begin with. I don't even, what's science, religious science, what is that? Put it away, right? He was there for several years, shopping. He's shopping at, buying all his vegetables at Vaughn's. How many people know Vaughn's in California, right? And he says one day he looks up past the vegetables, and directly across the street from the Vaughn's supermarket is I believe it's the Burbank Church of Religious Science. He sees it on the big sign, and he said, instantly I remembered, that was from the book. Instantly I was pulled to it. And he said, but I was also repelled because I just didn't like the name and the idea and church and all of that kind of stuff. And so he said, I couldn't go to another place. This place was so convenient to where I lived. He said, so I had to buy my vegetables like this. We'd just walk around the store and just pretend, he said, for a couple of years, pretend like he didn't see it until he finally went in. And it changed his life. Now, part of the story I want to tell you is that, as you remember, he ran away from home. And so he didn't have a visa where he could stay in the United States. And so he started taking classes at the church, and long story short, somebody tells him, well, actually there are a few countries that are giving this religious workers visa. And since you're becoming a licensed practitioner, you might be able to get one of those. But you're going to have to go somewhere to get it. So the closest place he could go was Mexico. So he gets on a flight, he goes to Mexico, and his visa is about to, and his passport are both about to expire. Now, an interesting part of the story is that in Mexico at the time, white South Africans were illegal. Could not be in the country. Be jailed, you'd probably something worse than that if they caught you. So imagine now, he's standing in line. He knows if this person, whoever it is, doesn't stamp my passport, doesn't give me this religious workers visa, then I'm in a country where I don't know the language, I'm an illegal presence, and I've got nothing. I can't go home. Nothing, right? So can you imagine? I really can't fathom. So he's moving up in the line, doing his spiritual mind treatment, what we call affirmative prayer, right? Doing the things that he's learned in these classes. He's just breathing. He finally gets to the front of the line, and he says, this is very, forgive me, his words, not mine, very butch, rough kind of person, female, at the counter. And she's looking at him, looking over her glasses, and she's in rough English saying, so what is this? You're going to become a priest, a religious worker? What kind of church is this? And so she shows her Church of Religious Science. I've never heard of that. Is that even real? You're just making this up. You're wasting my time. Why are you wasting my time today? It's not even a real thing. You have anything to prove this? This is in the 80s. There's no internet. There's no, what's he going to do? He can't pull out his phone, right? And so he thinks to himself, well, I've got a newsletter from the church that he was going to, which was the Santa Rosa Church, where he's now the senior minister and has been for over 25 years. So you know where the story ends. Spoiler alert. That's not that point that I was trying to make, right? So he pulls out the newsletter, and that's all he got. Shaking hands, her the newsletter. She's looking at it. Okay, it's got a real address, and there's the minister's name, and there's practitioners. Oh, that's what I'm going to become. Yeah, that's how I'm going to be a religious worker with this church. She turns the newsletter over to the back, and she sees the little ads for the little events and classes and things happening. And she sees Lesbian Connect Group, Friday hot tub party. clothing optional. She looks at him. She looks at the newsletter. She looks at him. She gets her stamp. She hands her back the newsletter, and she says, "My kind of church." True story. Right? Now, had it been anybody else in those kiosks, right? Had he gone to a different line, right? Sometimes you got to surrender to get yourself out of the way and simply put yourself in the hands of the universe. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I've got some quotes from that book. Let me give you, nope, not that one yet. Here's the thing. Sometimes we think that intervention, divine miracle, I'm sure this room is probably filled with stories like that, where we have exhausted all of our resources. We've just put ourselves vulnerably to the mercy of the universe, and something miraculous happened and showed up. That does happen, and it's a wonderful thing when it happens. But there's a deeper truth. That's the first part of free your mind and the rest will follow. Free your mind and the rest. The rest. He had to rest in that line. He had to free his mind, and he just had to rest in the arms of the universe. Free your mind, and the rest will follow. If he held on to it, if he tried to force it, if he tried to make it happen, which is something that he had no control over making happen, it would not have occurred. The rest had to follow, the surrender, the openness. But there's a different angle to that line. Free your mind, and the rest will follow. And that is that we have to make ourselves available to do the work that needs to get done. It's first opening up to the possibility, and then it's stepping up to the plate and doing the work that is required. So I'm not going to tell you another too long story, but my own story of, I remember when I was first asked to do public speaking, I was asked to run for this position in this youth council. It was part of New Mexico Drug-Free Schools and Communities, and it was this big conference and big organization that worked with the governor's office. And I was a freshman in high school. I just joined this thing and went to this conference, and I'd only joined the little club in the school or whatever just a few weeks really before the conference. I'd heard about it, and I thought, well, that sounds interesting and fun. And so I went, and there were some seniors, some senior girls in my club from my high school, and they came to me at lunch. And you have to remember who I was in high school. I was skinny. I know, hard to imagine. Very quiet, also hard to imagine. Very bashful, very just kind of in the background, just disappeared. I didn't speak up in class. I didn't, was not an outgoing or upfront person at all, right? And they came up to me and they sat down. I'm eating my lunch, minding my own business, and I look up and there they are, and I'm like, "Can I help you?" And they're like, "We think you should run for this council." And I'm like, "Oh, no, you have the wrong person," right? It's a very Moses moment, right? Remember I asked you last week, are you Moses or are you Jonah, right? It's a very Moses moment. I'm like, "Oh no, you need to talk to my brother, right? I stutter, it's not me, right? Not for me." And they pressed me and pressed me and pressed me, and finally, I'm so conflict avoidant, and still have that sort of passive aggressive, unhealthy relationship with conflict avoidance behavior in my life at that time, which I've now since done tremendous work on, by the way, because ministry will do that to you. That was a joke, by the way. But at the time, I was just, I was sweating, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just want these people out of my face, and I do not want to be here. And so finally I was like, all right, look, if I say yes, will you go away? And they're like, yeah, we'll leave you alone. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes. And so they went and put my name on the paper. And then somebody else came up to me and said, "Whoa, so excited that you're running." And I'm like, "Running for what?" So, oh yeah, I said that thing, didn't I? So then I had to get still. I went and I got still. And I said, I've heard this from other people and different things, and maybe I'm the one that's wrong, right? Maybe everybody else sees something, and maybe I don't. Maybe I'm the one that doesn't see it. Maybe I should take a gamble on this. Throw the dice, see what happens. Why not? And I had to surrender. But then, the rest that followed was I had to say yes to that thing. And in saying yes to it, I had to write the speech, I had to do the thing, I had to do the interview, I had to, in that particular instance, I had to do a number of things. Fast forward, I won the election, served on that council, ran for several years, helped run the conference, and all along the way, and that there's a trajectory there from that to this moment here in this room, and my 17 years in ministry, where I've continued to say yes and yes and yes to something bigger, right? And all along the way, it's not that I say yes and then suddenly just miracle, things just show up. It's actually I say yes, and then there's a whole pile of work, right? Things that I got to accomplish, things that I have to do. So that's the other aspect of this idea. Free your mind, open yourself up to the possibility, and then the rest will follow, the rest being the action that you need to take, the steps you need to take, the work you need to put in. Maybe it's the degree you need to earn, or the certificate, or the study, or the time, those things that you are in charge of. The universe is in charge perhaps of opening a door of possibility, but you are in charge of continuing to prime the pump of probability for your life, right? Let God take care of possibility, you work on the probability. Increase the probability so that the probability meets the possibility into your life. Are you following what I'm saying? Yes. Yes. Free your mind and the rest will follow. Free your mind from the mental blocks. Free your mind from the disbelief. Free your mind from the unworthiness. Free your mind from the lack and limitation thinking. This is what Ernest Holmes was speaking when he wrote A New Design for Living, and so much of his work. And in A New Design for Living, he says this: progress has now been sufficient for us to see that God seems to be giving man, or humanity, a spark of his own intelligence. Once we step into the laboratory of our own minds, we will discover this for ourselves and realize that our thought is creative in all aspects of our experience. What we need to do then is to learn to use it specifically for the good that we desire. The use of it for the creation of good in our experience has been designed by many different names: creative affirmative prayer, meditation, spiritual mind treatment, positive thinking. It doesn't matter what you call it. The fact is established that a certain direct process of thought, an intangible and unseen thing, does have an effect on our experience and our relationship to the world in which we live. That's in the beginning of the introduction. And so his whole idea is learn to use this thing. Call it whatever you want to call it. But learn to use this creative intelligence so that your mind is open to the possibilities of what can follow. One last story that I'm reminded of just before I got up here was that of Roger Bannister. Anybody know who Roger Bannister is? Right? 1954, broke the 4-minute mile. And there were a bunch of people competing to break the 4-minute mile. And it had been a quest of humanity since the Greco-Roman time and the beginning of the Olympics, and people had died trying. I don't know why they would do such a thing, but they wanted to do this thing. It was seen as being athletically embodied in the human condition as close to the gods as possible in the Greek tradition, right? That's the whole design behind the Olympics, is that look at these God figures, right, competing with the great gods of the myths and the traditions, and being on par with them in terms of stature and capability. And so this goal had existed for thousands of years, actually, this 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister broke it on a cold and wet, rainy day where the track conditions were not ideal. He broke it at age 25 at a 1-minute mile race of 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. Just 0.6 of a second into the goal. When he crossed that finish line, he collapsed, he lost consciousness. When he regained consciousness, he was blind for several hours. The toll that it took on his body. But if you read his story, and it's definitely worth a read, he will tell you that this was not a physical race. This was a mental race. And that the one who would break the mile would do it first in their mind. And unless that occurred, there would be no physical possible way for anyone to break the 4-minute mile unless they believed that they could and saw themselves doing it first. And so that was his training, was, of course he did physical training, but mental training on this idea. In the months after he broke that, you know what happened? In the 3 months after, I think 3 or 6 months after, I got to reread the story again, 8 more people did it. To date, over 1,000 people, 1,000 runners have done it. I think 1,500 or something like that right now, right? Opened up the floodgates of possibility, right? And of probability, because the mental door had been opened first. So we have this thing. I want to give you 3 ways to use this creative law of mind, spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, call it what you want. We have our journals for the year, the You Belong journals, where you can write your intentions of how to connect, grow, and serve and give, how to move these intentions through your life. All of those are parts of the practice. First, we use this creative power to unclog and to free our mind, as Roger Bannister did, as Dr. Edward did, as I did in each of those stories. Second, use affirmative prayer and the creative law of mind to pause and to remember in your own consciousness. To pause and to remember and answer the call of the universe. That's all right. Just text them and let them know where you are. It's a good advertising moment. Say, why couldn't I reach you? Because I was at church. And you should have been too, and you wouldn't have called me. It's okay. If they don't live here, they can watch online. Right? So we pause to remember who we are. And third, we pray or meditate or affirm to get clear with our purpose. To get clear with our purpose. So get clear with our purpose, pause, remember who we are, and then the first one to unclog. So unclog. Everybody say unclog. Unclog your mind. Right? Pause and remember. And get clear. Those are the things. And whether you want to call it affirmative prayer or meditation or affirmations or just a few breaths in the morning and a yoga posture, all of those things are activating and using the same thing. It is allowing that creative space for something to happen in, through, and as you. Free your mind, and the rest will follow. Finally, again, from Ernest Holmes and A New Design for Living. He says, we are free to think in any manner that we desire, free to have our thoughts dwell on the undesirable things that we don't want, or the good things that we do want in health and affairs and relationship. There is nothing in nature of this world that forbids or prevents us from enjoying an ever-increasing amount of good in everything. It would have to be this way, he says. For who has been able to discover that there is something in the nature of things which says that humanity must be unhappy? There is nothing. What could possibly say that one person has to be sick or that another must be without friends? It is impossible to even comprehend that such a thing exists. If any person thinks it is possible, then the God of this person must also be a sickly, unhappy, and sad God. But with a firm conviction that there is one mind, a supreme intelligence, a spiritual reality, a God that is whole and complete and undivided against itself, and both creative and active in our minds, then we can work in accordance with this law and this order and come to know that there is nothing in nature, in the nature of things, that is against us, but that everything is for us. The only thing against us is ourselves. What we do to ourselves by the way that we use our God-given freedom to think as we choose. And so this day I invite you to take a deep breath. We start every service this way. It's I choose to think affirmatively, and I choose to live affirmatively and speak affirmatively. We know what we're talking about here. And I invite you to feel that activating in your soul, activating in your consciousness and activating in your mind. Allow yourself to see it expanding out. And to those of us connecting on Facebook and on YouTube and watching later in the week and sharing this message, we know that a vibration is going out into the universe in which we live from the center of our being and from the center of this prayer. And it's creating doorways of possibility for every good thing to happen in our life. We free our mind that it's possible to live in a world that works for everyone. We free our mind to live in the possibility of a world of justice and peace and wholeness where there's enough good and resources for everyone, man, woman, and child, for every human being to live in accordance with their divine nature and to be limited by no structure of oppression, no structure of limitation, no structure of discord of every nature is to be abolished. And the emancipation and freedom of everyone and everything is sure to be attained by all. This we know. We say yes to it. We activate it within our own consciousness, within our own heart. And we allow ourselves to have the eyes enough to see it for ourselves and for our brothers and sisters and for all of humanity. Free your mind into this possibility, and the rest will follow. The rest will follow. The rest will follow. The rest that comes from the surrender of fighting for the life that you want. Oh, the sweet rest. Notice as I say that, if there's any part of your mind or your body that is just tired of the struggle, the rest will follow. You will have rest from the struggle because your mind will be freed into the possibility that good and more good is yours, that peace and wholeness and prosperity is yours, not just yours, but everyone's. And the rest will follow. All of the insight, all of the know-how, all of the intuition and guidance on what to do next and how to do it, and the courage to do it, all of these things will follow. Let's free our mind today into a greater possibility of living and allow the rest to follow. For this and so much more, I'm truly grateful and thankful as I allow it to be. And so it is. Peace and blessings. Thank you.
So grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you. If you're feeling inspired and grateful, now's our time to move into action. At this time, we want to acknowledge the first-time visitors that are here locally. If you could please stand up. We welcome everybody and we celebrate everybody. The practitioners, thank you. Thank you for joining. The practitioners are going to give you a card, and then you can meet us in the lobby for some fellowship. Everybody here is seen and heard and welcome as you are. This is a place of non-judgment, acceptance. Thank you, everybody, for choosing the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta as a part of your celebration today. As again, no judgment. We're here to celebrate our aliveness, celebrate our life, celebrate our knowingness, our openness, our possibility. And we offer spiritual treatment. So this is where if you feel stuck and you're like, I just can't get... We have an idea, a way, a practice to move you up a few notches, to free you from impossible to possible. So if you're here in person, we'll be meeting on the sides and in the back. Look for a practitioner to help shift you. And if you're online, practitioners, if you please put your information there again. I'm sure you have already. So if you're listening and you'd like, what is that thing? If you're just a little curious, reach out, give it a try, and you'll see how we can shift our own consciousness through a technology based on love. Great. So as we enter our time of grateful giving, we wish to thank the people who are contributing regularly. I myself, as a member, just put that on autopilot because I understand the law of circulation. I give every month. Because whenever I give, guess what? It comes back to me multiplied abundantly. And it is spiritually correct to tithe where you are spiritually fed. So if you feel inspired, if you felt moved, if you felt like, yeah, I agree with this, yes, then contribute into the universe and say, universe, I want more of this. Contribute to Spiritual Living Center and say, yeah, I like what you're giving. I want more of that too. It allows us to give this message of oneness. That's the most important thing. Everybody's here on purpose. We belong. We want everybody to thrive. So your contributions contribute to that. And as Mr. Adams said earlier, we have a bunch of different ways you can give. We have a website. You can text 404-800-9467. You may also give using the QR code. We have our contribution box in the back. We won't be passing a basket, so if you're doing cash or check in the old-fashioned way, we have access for you as well. So this is where we give to receive. It's the law of circulation. Now please join me in saying the grateful giving. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow. All that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. Thank you.
We hope you have a great weekend, everybody. A special thanks to Beyond for being with us this morning. Yeah. Here's how we close. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. Yeah. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. Make sure you greet one another before you leave. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Good to see you. Wow, yes. Oh, I love it.